spectacular today, spectacular tomorrow. All right. Well, more spectacular, because now it's time to talk about new products. And it's important to note, as we're going through these new products, that X39 is going to continue to be the hero. So in building the business, we want to stay focused on X39. It's what's made the company successful. It's how we're going to build our teams, our organizations. And as we bring new products to market, it's to complement the effects of X39 in the body so everyone can have an amazing experience with X39 and X49. So with that, let's go over some of the benefits of X39 so we can frame this properly. First of all, of course, you know that X39 is a new form of light therapy. We're stimulating the skin with very low levels of light to elevate the peptide GHK-Cu. And of course, we have blood studies that we've done, multiple blood studies now, that validate that. And we know one of the most powerful things that copper peptide does is it resets our genes to a more youthful state. And one of the genes that it will trigger mobilizes the stem cells. So this is how we improve the stem cell activity in the body. The other thing that we find through urine tests is that copper peptide improves the metabolism of the cell. So we see upregulation of different amino acids. So this leads to better protein synthesis, better recovery from exercise. We also know that one of the things that copper peptide does very well is manage inflammation. So specifically, this is why the combination of X39 and the Eon patch are so powerful. So if someone was suffering with an acute or chronic injury, placing X39 on the back of the neck and Eon at the point of pain is very, very powerful. But copper peptide on its own will help to manage the inflammatory process. We also know that copper peptide supports the process of recovery. So when you're exercising, which I hope you all are, and we'll talk more about that later, that you'll find that you recover from exercise more quickly and you get better results. And of course, we've done a whole host of tests and looked at third-party studies that show that copper peptide improves overall well-being. And of course, it makes sense, right? If we're resetting cells to a more youthful state and they're behaving like younger cells, that we would get that type of effect. And just for those people that are new, the patches, again, are a form of light therapy. I'm at now over 130 patents. I stopped counting, quite honestly. My goal was to pass my uncle. By the way, do any of you have cell phones? Okay, so my uncle Paul worked for the US government for most of his career, and he invented the basic transistor technology that you find in some modern cell phones. They still use technology that he invented. Really bright guy. Interestingly enough, his specialty was crystals. And I saw one of his crystal inventions when I was about 7 or 8 years old, and so I think that must have inspired me. But he, after he retired, he had about 150 patents, so my goal was to catch up to him. So I think I've done pretty well. Thank you. Of course, all of our patches, you apply them to the body. They're activated by body heat. They stimulate the skin with light. This is known as photobiomodulation. We get wavelengths of light in the infrared and the visible spectra. And this is similar, of course, to how light can elevate vitamin D and produce other effects. So it's well based in science. And there's well over 5,000 clinical studies today that are published on the use of light to trigger metabolic changes in the body. So we're on very, very safe scientific ground. So the question is, if X39 and X49 produce all of these benefits, how would we design and create products that would enhance their activity? How would we go about and do that? And we don't want to just create a new product, right? We never want to be in the position where you can get a product someplace else. We always want products to be exclusive to Lifewave, to be patented. You can only get them here. And so this is as much about creating new products as it is about creating new technology. So that places a lot of burden on our research, but I'm delighted with what we've come up with. So let's look at the subject of hormone balancing, because it's something that we all face through time, right? Our genes change and hormone levels go down. And so what are some of the options that people have? Well, of course, you can take synthetic hormones, you can take bioidenticals. Once you start on those, you're on them the rest of your life. And certainly for many people, those are great options. So I'm not knocking it. People that go the other way that want to do this naturally will take herbs. And herbs, of course, have the problem that they don't work the same way for everybody. They take a long time to take effect, and it's very difficult to find herbs that really work. There's a lot of confusing information out there. So generally, people don't really know how to use herbs. Many people don't know how to use herbs properly for hormone balancing. Or you can simply do nothing and give up and let aging take its course, right? So that doesn't seem like a very good option. So I'd like to look at why herbs have such limited efficacy. They do work, of course, but why do they have limited efficacy? And it's because they don't enter the blood directly. And this is a problem. As people age, their ability to absorb nutrients declines, and this can have an impact on the efficacy of herbs. So let's look at an example that we see in nature for a solution. So we do things that are in harmony with nature. And I want to start with the truffle pig. You all know what truffle pigs are? Yes. Right? They hunt out truffles. Do any of you enjoy truffles? Yes. Yeah? I love truffles. One of my favorite things to do, I've been blessed to go to Rome, and I'll find a restaurant and have pasta. I know I shouldn't eat pasta. I find pasta. It's in my blood. I'm Italian. Find pasta and get some fresh. Hey, hear it for the Italians. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Rick. Get some freshly shaved truffle with butter and cream or whatever they put on it, black pepper. It's amazing, right? But the truffles are expensive. They can go from $2,000 to $6,000 a pound. Really expensive. And of course, cultivating truffles are incredibly difficult. And so the truffles that we eat are harvested from the roots of trees. That's where they're growing. Now, at some point, my daughter loves animals, and I always get the impression when I speak with her that she loves animals more than people. And I have tried to push her to be a veterinarian, but she said, "Dad, I would be too sad seeing animals come in that are sick." Yeah, she regularly patches her dogs. Anybody that wants to date my daughter has to get past a very aggressive Rottweiler that's overly protective with her, just to let you know. But she has pushed me for many years and said, "Dad, wouldn't it be great if we had a pig?" And I'm like, no, it wouldn't be great. But anyway, truffles are used because they find, pigs are used because they find truffles out in the wild. So the question is, how do they locate the truffles? Why are the pigs interested in finding the truffles? So this is a great example of how we can look to nature for answers, because as it turns out, there is a very important reason why the pigs are hunting for these truffles. Turns out that truffles contain aphrodisiacs and they contain testosterone. So the pig has figured out, if I get these truffles, this is beginning to feel like, like something from the 70s, a guy wearing a polyester suit trying to pick up a girl at a bar. But they have found that this is what's really going on. The truffle contains testosterone, aphrodisiacs, and they're getting this naturally by inhaling the truffle. So we end up getting a bunch, not that we didn't even know it, right? We end up getting a bunch of horny pigs as a result. But we should love these pigs because now they've shown us a way that we can naturally improve our hormones without using drugs or herbs. How are we going to do that? Here's a research study, by the way. There are a number of research studies that I was able to locate that validate this, in fact, that when it's studied compositionally, of course, we find these hormones in things like truffles, and studies have shown this is exactly what's going on. The problem, though, is that truffles are too expensive, and when attempts have been made to cultivate truffles in the lab, it never goes well. It's usually very, very difficult to reproduce. So we have to look for another answer. So what other natural materials could we use? And if we're going to take this approach now, how can we optimize the results? The other thing that we want to do is we want to develop products that are good for both men and women, and so we need to be able to do that as well. So with that, I would like to introduce to you Lifewave's next products, our Lifewave aromatherapy nests. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, now I'm going to tell you up front that we refer to these as aromatherapy for regulatory purposes. So when we had meetings with our attorney, we were trying to figure out how to classify these. And there were a couple of different directions that we could go in. And we finally ended up thinking, okay, we want to go the route of aromatherapy for a variety of reasons that you'll see. And so, but these are technically not aromatherapy, if you know what I mean. It's actually an entirely new category of products. So nothing like this exists. And we've created two products. One is called Shine. And I was joking with our leaders at a leader meeting yesterday, and since I'm the inventor, I think I should get the opportunity to name these products. I said to Lori, what do you think about the name Love Potion number 9? And Lori said, David, I have every respect for you as an inventor, but I don't think that's the correct way to go. What do you think about Shine and Dream? I said, oh, that's awesome. Let's do it. So that's how we ended up. Thank you, Lori. Okay. So as with the patches, we have a novel delivery system. So the patches, of course, use a novel application of light to produce these changes in the body, and we're doing the same thing with the sprays. We have a novel energized water that is the base of the spray to act as a delivery system to enhance the delivery. So you know how this morning I spent a lot of time telling you about this age reversal water? Well, we're using the same technology in these sprays. We're also combining in these sprays natural complexes of different herbs and essential oils to enhance the overall effect. And so for those of you that do not know what a structured water would be like, it would be a good example, give you a frame of reference. Just picture a system that's in chaos and then a system that's organized. So structured water is water that's in a state of organization. So when we organize something, especially water, it can be used, and you embed nutrients into it, those nutrients get delivered much more efficiently. They get into the cell where they're needed. So that's the reason to do that. Okay. Now, here are the official claims that we came up with for Shine. Shine is to be used first thing in the morning and also as a pre-workout. It's going to support your overall wellness and energy. It's very invigorating when you use it, and you're going to find that it helps to improve your focus and your clarity. So those are the official claims. That is all I'm permitted to say. It would be irresponsible of me to tell you that these sprays can help to balance hormones. I'm not allowed to tell you that when you balance hormones, it improves the health of the stem cells in the body. And when you improve the health of the stem cells, that makes this a natural product to support the activity of X39 and X49. I'm not at liberty to say those things because we had a meeting with our attorney, and our attorney was very clear that these were things that we couldn't say. And, to put this in perspective, our attorney is this big, intimidating fellow that looks a little bit like Clint Eastwood. So quite frankly, he's very intimidating, and he does all of our FDA and our FTC work. And so Laura and I went to go meet with him, and I said, Mr. Talati, I'm really excited about our meeting today, and I hope we can come to some kind of agreement on the claims. And he looked at me and said, I like those sprays. I show them to all my friends. That's my best Clint Eastwood. And so, gee, Mr. Talati, we've done all these clinical studies, and there's so much that these sprays can do to benefit people. And, I've seen the list of approved claims. Is there anything else we could say? And he looked at me, and then he looked at Lori, and he said, well, why don't we just let him go on stage and let him go? So fortunately, I take really good notes, and for historical purposes, I documented what was said at that meeting. And I would like to share with you now some of the things that our attorney didn't want me to say, instead of making claims. So, the attorney said, "What did you find out in your clinical studies?" And so I said to him, "Well, in our first clinical study, we showed that the sprays could increase a man's testosterone levels by more than double in as little as 3 days." And the attorney replied, I won't do the impression this time. He said, "Well, you definitely can't tell people that because the FDA wouldn't like it." And I said, "Well, that's really too bad because I think that's something people would really want to know." And he said, "Well, did you learn anything else about these sprays?" And I said, "Well, yeah, as a matter of fact, we did." And he said, "Okay, go on." And I said, "Well, we found out that within 3 weeks of people using the sprays, they had a significant reduction in body fat." And he said, "Well, you definitely can't tell people that. The FDA wouldn't like that claim, so I'm going to strike it." And I said, "That's too bad. I really think people would want to know that. There has to be a way to share that." So we talked to the attorney about how the sprays elevate human growth hormone, how they support strength and stamina and overall youth. But unfortunately, he didn't want me to tell you about that either. We talked about how the sprays could increase oxytocin levels. And this, of course, is the hormone of love. And he thought this could be a risk, but maybe we could share it. But we definitely couldn't make the claim that this will make your muscles younger. He said, "No, don't do that." And I said, "That's really too bad. I think people would want to know that." And of course, improving hormone levels in men and women, improving growth hormone, improving oxytocin, it must have an effect on sexual performance. And we did a clinical study on this. And I wasn't personally involved in the clinical study, but I know that it happened. And I can report to you that people were very satisfied with the results. But thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. So what are in these sprays? So first, it's a base of this water that we make at our facility. It's proprietary. And we've included, instead of using truffles, we're using pine pollen as the natural source of phytoandrogens and other hormones. And there is a huge amount of clinical work that's been done to show the beneficial effects on men and women on pine pollen. So the benefit of this is you're going to apply the spray in the morning to the wrist. You're going to inhale the pine pollen, and it goes directly into the blood, working immediately. The same thing with Tongkat Ali. It is known as, it's a root from Malaysia, and it is known to be, yeah, Jin Long is laughing, and he's very excited right now because he knows all about Tongkat Ali. It's a traditional herb for men to improve libido. It's one of the few herbs that has great clinical studies showing improvement in testosterone, luteinizing hormone, and of course sexual function. But there's equally studies with Tongkat Ali showing the benefits for women. And then we have a polyrachis extract. This is something very interesting that we've been working with in our lab. And there's a number of very significant benefits to it in improving growth hormone levels and also improving nitric oxide. We haven't done a test on nitric oxide yet, by the way. In this spray, we also put it into a base of essential oils that can complement the overall effect. For example, there are some good clinical studies on blue spruce oil and its effect on showing improved testosterone levels in both men and women, equally with pine oil, ginger oil, and sage oil. By the way, on balancing estrogen levels, that's equally important for both men and women. So we have a spray that you use in the morning, which I'd also recommend you try as a pre-workout. You'll notice an immediate improvement in strength and stamina the first time that you use it. Most of you should. Then there is going to be a spray that you use in the evening. Do not use it during the day unless you want to sleep during the day. And this is called Dream. And you'll notice that within minutes, it puts your body into a state of relaxation. You're going to notice that the quality of the sleep is extremely deep, and it's a great complement to our other patches like Silent Nights, Alavita, and Eon. The other benefit to the Dream spray is that it will elevate dopamine levels, and the dopamine triggers improvements in hormone levels, and especially growth hormone. So that's one of the things that's been found about elevating dopamine along with other things. The other thing is that, like the patches, these are natural products and are designed to balance hormones. For men, for example, this would not act like an anabolic and get your testosterone above normal levels. That would not be good, right? So this is all about balancing. And the evening spray has, again, pine pollen and tonkat ali, but it also has mucuna purines, and that's there for the source of dopa. It also has a different base of essential oils that are intended to calm and relax and enhance the overall effect. Now, this is going to be super important in terms of how you use these products, okay? We have instructions, but for the sake of clarity, let's go through these now. You're going to take the Shine product and you're going to spray it on either wrist. You're then going to hold it up to your nose and inhale deeply about 7 or 8 times. The sprays are in a base of alcohol. Don't drink these sprays, okay? You could spray them in the mouth, but it's not intended to be used that way. So they're definitely intended to be inhaled. Spray it on the wrist, inhale it deeply 7 or 8 times, and that's all you have to do. So we're talking about something that takes seconds in the morning to apply, right? Extremely easy. And Dream is applied the same way. I'd recommend you to apply it maybe 10 minutes or so before bedtime. And of course, we talk a lot, Emily and I talk a lot on our webinars about how to get a good night's sleep. You want a room that's dark. You don't want caffeine with dinner, preferably. You don't want to be looking at your cell phone or your computer. The blue light can keep you awake. Keep your feet warm. This has been shown to improve the quality of sleep. And of course, we have products for it. So you really want to cultivate an environment where you can get a good night's sleep. So I would say use this maybe 10 minutes or so before you're getting ready to go to bed. Again, spray it to either wrist, inhale deeply 7 or 8 times, and you're good to go. So I know some questions you're going to have is when you can get these products. We are starting our pre-launch in November. And then we'll have our official launch in January. You didn't think I was going to come up here and tell you how great these sprays are if you couldn't get them now, right? We have as free gifts for all of you. Doing today? Is it? You might recognize this as ice. And so I want to do that we can have a business model